feel good. Food that sings a rainbow. Feels good to feel good. A joy to watch it grow. Glimmers all around us, so get up there and glow. Feels good to feel good, and let it show.
Hello, I'm Cheryl Meyer, the Health Muse, and this is class 3 in the Great Liver Rescue. In class 1, we talked about what the liver's role is to your body and your health. In class 2, we talked about how the liver interacts with every other organ in your body, except the ones that are most attached to it, your gallbladder and your pancreas, which I will discuss after I go through what can go wrong with the liver and how does it get so sick. This class is all about liver disease and the different stages. And then in the next class, we're going to talk about what you can do to heal the liver. So all this information is crucial. Most people are running around not having any clue that they have liver disease, and that would have been true of me too. I went to go get a scan because I had a very large fibroid, as big as a grapefruit, and they wanted to scan it and see what was going on. Well, they decided I was close to menopause. It was going to go away on its own, but I had a very fatty liver. And so I knew I had one. My functional doctor, who I loved, who was great in getting me well from the autoimmune diseases and from the type 2 diabetes, did not really instruct me on what to do about healing my liver. So, as I do with everything, I dug in and I started to research. So it's really important for me to share all this information with you because I consider this to be a life-saving amount of information that I know has worked on me. It took me 10 years, but my fatty liver is healed and my liver tests are back to normal. So I'm excited about that. And now I want to share with you. And in this class, we're going to talk about liver disease and the 4 different levels of liver disease. While you're listening to this, understand that of all your organs, the liver is the most forgiving. So it will take diligence. It will take you implementing the things that you learn, but you can make a difference and bring your liver back to health. So as you listen to all of this, don't get scared. Dig in, learn, research on your own, and heal your liver because that is more than possible. So let's get started. I want to share the slides that I put together for you because I think it's so important that you can follow along, because if you read at the same time as you're hearing what I have to share with you, you have a much better chance of remembering what you're going to learn in this class. So this is liver disease. First, my disclaimer, which I have at the beginning of all 5 of these classes. I am not a healthcare professional. I'm a health coach. So all I can recommend to you is that you make lifestyle changes and possibly take supplements. Everything you hear in here, you should run past your doctor, and you should research on your own because you are responsible for what happens to your body. So I am sharing information for informational purposes only. So own your own health, dig in and see if any of these things would help you. And the reason I want you to run it by your doctor is he knows what else you're doing. So if there's any interactions in terms of what he has you doing, he will know that, which I do not, because I don't have a personal relationship with you. So I don't take responsibility if you take any of the ideas that I have in these videos, but I do tell you that this is how I healed myself. So I'm excited to share this information with you. So liver diseases and what to do to heal your liver. And I loved this slide when I found it. Bye-bye, fatty liver. If you do these things, you can actually say goodbye to a fatty liver and hello again to a healthy one. That possibility certainly exists. So let's dig in and learn more about the liver. Warning signs that your liver is diseased. First of all, with everything, learn to listen to your body. It will have a lot to say to you if you're feeling uncomfortable on your right side, particularly. Getting uncomfortable on your right side when you sleep on your right side, or as you're standing, or as you're working, is probably a sign that your liver is complaining. But listen to your body for everything. When I get up in the morning, I look in the mirror. I say, "Good morning, Cheryl. Have I told you lately how much I love you?" And then I let that sit for a minute. And then the next question I ask is, "How do you feel today, body?" And I get quiet. I go into my gut and I listen to what my body has to say. What I have learned is if I listen to it, my body is incredibly smart and it will tell me in terms of symptoms what I need to be paying attention to. And so I want you to get into that habit every day as well. The next question I ask myself is, what can I do for you today? And I let it chime in on that subject too. But listen to your body, because if you are getting a fatty liver, it will definitely have something to say to you. Now, understand your liver never shouts for help until it's too late. That's why understanding its early warning signs can actually literally save your life. The liver keeps us alive every second. It detoxifies the blood. It breaks down fats. That's what your gallbladder does. It emulsifies the fats so that your body can use them. And every single cell in your body and your brain need fats, but they need good fats, which are omega-3 fats, and we'll talk about that. It produces bile. That's part of the gallbladder, which is attached right underneath the liver. And if you get bile disease, your doctor is going to suggest you remove your bile. You remove your gallbladder. There are no throwaway parts in your body, so do not let them do that. Dig in, clean up all your lifestyle habits, and heal your gallbladder, which is also possible. It keeps your hormones and your metabolism balanced. That's the liver again. But when the liver becomes damaged, it happens step by step silently. So there are 4 stages of liver disease, and let's understand them in simple words. The advantage of taking classes with me is I translate all of the medical jargon into human jargon and put it into terms that make it easy for you to understand, because I was not a trained health professional. I had to put it into information and a level that my brain could understand it so that I could implement it. A normal liver is healthy, smooth, and functions well. Your urine color will be pale yellow, a 1 or 2 on the scale. And I have a little scale a little further along here. You need to be well hydrated, because when you are, then your liver will continue working fine. Fatty liver. Fat starts building up due to a poor diet, alcohol, junk food, ultra-processed food, and lack of exercise. It's still reversible if it's treated early. Your urine color, though, will go from that pale yellow, 1 to 2, to a bright to dark yellow, which is a 3 to 4. Drink water and adopt all the healthy habits. And if you want to read all my healthy habits, I have them in a magazine called Feeling Good on Issue, and it's a flip book, and you can go right to my 20 healthy habits. You're not going to start them all at once, so knock them off one at a time, but start with food and staying hydrated, and then add the rest of them. You eventually need to have all 20 be part of your everyday routine, but they're all there, and you can find my issue page by going to the first page of my website, which, as you'll see under my name under there, is CherylMHealthMuse.com. Liver fibrosis. Okay, now we're starting to get into real trouble. That's caused by constant inflammation, which is causing scarring of the tissues. Efficiency for your liver decreases But treatment is still possible with lifestyle changes and medication. It's just going to take you a bit longer to repair and heal your liver. Your urine color now goes to a deep yellow or an amber. That's the sign that real trouble is developing. And that's when, if you haven't gotten serious up to now, you darn well better get serious now. And then the last stage is cirrhosis, which is severe guarding of healthy tissue, and it's probably going to need being replaced completely. One of the things about the liver is they can do a liver transplant on part of it, or they can replace the whole liver, which is the only organ that's like that in your body. But you don't want to get to that stage. You want to be able to keep your liver healthy right from the normal liver all along. You don't want to have to go through the fatty liver and the liver fibrosis and the cirrhosis. You want to hum like a fine-tuned machine. And as you'll remember, your liver interacts with every other organ in your body. So it's super important that you keep your liver healthy. Just to go over them again, the early warning signs can literally save your life. It keeps you alive every second because it's detoxifying your blood, it's breaking and emulsifying your fats, it's producing bile in your gallbladder, and it's keeping your hormones and your metabolism balanced. But when the liver becomes damaged, it will start to happen step by step. Let's understand this again in simple words. You can have a normal liver, which is a healthy, smooth liver that functions well with urine that is pale yellow 1 to 2. And it's really important that you stay hydrated. I try to drink 64 ounces of filtered, good quality water every day, and I never drink out of plastic. We'll talk about that. Fatty liver. Fat starts building up due to poor diet, alcohol, junk food, ultra-processed food, lack of exercise. It is still reversible if treated early, but your urine color now has fallen to a bright yellow or a dark yellow, a 3 or 4 on the scale. So drink lots of water and adopt all my healthy habits. Liver fibrosis. Now you're starting to get into real trouble. So it's constant inflammation, which causes scarring of the tissues. And understand it's inflammation that causes all of your chronic illnesses. Inflammation causes all 3 of my autoimmune diseases, which was caused by the liver because my body was not functioning well. Inflammation is the key to staying healthy. You don't want it, so don't do anything that creates it. Efficiency will decrease, but treatment is still possible if you're in the fibrosis stage with lifestyle changes and medication. And when you read my lifestyle changes, it doesn't help if you just read them to be aware of them. You got to implement them. And you have to love yourself enough to have it be worthwhile to have a healthy liver and to adopt all my healthy habits. And then the last stage is disease, which is cirrhosis, which is severe scarring of healthy tissue. And most likely, you're going to have to get some kind of a transplant because you're past the point of no return to heal your liver in other ways. Is your liver trying to tell you something? Remember, I said I want you to learn to listen to your body every morning. So if you have constipation or diarrhea, if you have pale or clay-colored stool, if you have undigested food in your stool, if you have fat intolerance, which means you feel nauseous when you consume fatty meals. I was an assistant store manager for a department store, and we used to eat pizza sometimes for lunch, and the grease from that cheese used to make me nauseous as hell. I'd get severe, what my parents called agita, upset stomach. I should have known that that was the sign that I was getting a fatty liver, but I didn't know that. So remember, if you're feeling nauseous after you consume meals that have fat in them, it's a red flag going up that says, hey, pay attention to me. I'm important. If your skin gets yellowish or your eyes get yellowish. Okay, in my early 20s, I got something that got called monohepatitis. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know what it was going to mean to the rest of my life. Ends up the mono was the precursor to Epstein-Barr disease, which meant that I was going to someday probably get fibromyalgia because that's what the progression is. So I had mono really severely. My skin turned yellow. My eyes turned yellow. I went to the doctor because I knew something was wrong with my body. And then hepatitis was the sign that my liver was in trouble. And we'll talk about how I got into that trouble. But I did heal, but my liver tests were off for most of the rest of my adult life until chabing chabang. I got the 3 autoimmune diseases, got type 2 diabetes, and discovered that I had a fatty liver. You get swollen lymph nodes. You get pain or discomfort in the right upper quadrant or your right shoulder. I used to wake up sleeping on my right side and be really uncomfortable by sleeping over my liver area. Headaches and migraines become very common. Hormone imbalances become common. And if you're eating a lot of ultra processed food, by the way, it is screwing around something fierce with all your hormones, including 2 that have to do with digestion and appetite called ghrelin and leptin that I didn't even know I had. So it throws all your hormones off, which is another good reason not to eat the ultra processed food. I was always hungry. Even after I ate a great big Thanksgiving meal, I was hungry. And the reason for that was because my ghrelin and my leptin weren't registering with my brain. And so it was full, but it kept sending a signal to my brain going, more, more, more. And I'd be in the kitchen picking on the pumpkin pie and eating more and wondering, how could I possibly be hungry? I just ate this enormous meal. So be aware that even that is all connected, but your female hormones, your thyroid, everything is connected to your liver. Difficulty processing or releasing anger and irritability is something that's attributed to the liver. A loss of appetite, difficulty fasting for an extended period of time, or being jittery or lightheaded between meals, abnormal cholesterol values. Your liver is responsible for your cholesterol. So take that as a sign that you need to dig in and find out how to fix that. And then finally, elevated liver enzymes on tests, although they could appear normal when they are abnormal, which mine were from the time that I had monohepatitis forward, that's the sign that you have something going wrong with your liver. The liver enzymes that got off on my tests were ALT and AST. There's also GGT and ALP. I wasn't as aware of them, but I knew that my ALT and my AST were off, and high levels were an indication of liver stress. So pay attention because it also, the ALT is because of glutathione deficiency. We're going to talk about glutathione at length in class 4. Low levels can be an indication of B6 deficiency. So watch your liver enzymes if they are off. Don't let your doctor go, oh, they're just off a little bit, because that's a big red flag that something's going haywire with your liver. AST is an enzyme found in the liver, heart, muscle, kidney, and red blood cells. Why is the test done? Because it accesses liver injury and tissue damage. How is it measured? By a serum test, okay? High AST examples are liver disease and mitochondria or muscle injury. Low AST is usually not clinically sufficient, although we just said it might mean that your B6 is low. ALT is an enzyme found in your liver cells. Why is it done? Again, to detect and monitor liver cell energy. It's a serum test, just like the other one. High ALT examples mean viral hepatitis. I had monohepatitis. It was a very light case of hepatitis, but not so light that I didn't go jaundice. And it can be a sign of fatty liver disease. Low ALT is usually not clinically significant, or the last chart suggested you might be low on your B6, okay? There are liver enzymes used to detect liver injury. The chart explains tissue distribution, clinical significance, normal ranges, and why ALT is more liver specific than AST. So a healthy liver, you have an effective machine to detox poisons out of your systems. Cruciferous vegetables are really good for you, as is citrus fruit. Hydration is crucial. Clear skin, your skin looks beautiful when you have a healthy liver, not so much when you have a sick one. It helps you with fat metabolism, and the result is energy, resilience, and radiant health. A fatty liver means that you have fructose overload. You have a sluggish, clogged metabolism. This is how your liver looks. Not pretty. This is how your liver looks when it's healthy. This is how your liver looks when it's not so healthy. I'm thinking about that ad. This is what your brain looks like on drugs. Well, this is what your liver looks like with disease. You have toxin stress because its function is to get them out of your body, and it can't do that function as well as it was before. Inflammatory oils really start to bother your body. Those are your omega-6s. Number one, they have Bt toxin in them, which means they cleate all your important minerals and vitamins out of your gut when they reach there. And inflammatory oils are the omega-6s. So they're soy oil, corn oil, vegetable oil, canola oil, which is in everything. Those are inflammatory oils, so stop it already. You want the omega-3s, which are olive oil and coconut oil and grass-fed, grass-finished pastured butter. And avocado oil. Avocado is actually not an omega-3. It's a unique oil called an omega-9, and it's really good for your body. So good that functional doctors recommend you eat half of an avocado a day. You have abdominal bloating if you have a fatty liver, and the result is fatigue, weight gain, and poor digestion. An unhealthy liver significantly impacts your emotions by causing high rates of depression, anxiety, and personality changes, affecting roughly 16 to 50% of chronic liver disease patients. It triggers mood disturbances through increased inflammation, toxin buildup in the brain, and chronic stress from physical fatigue. Key emotional and mental impacts: depression and anxiety, irritability and anger, heptic encephalopathy symptoms, and that's when the liver can't remove toxins like ammonia, and those toxins start to impact the brain, leading to brain fog, severe confusion, personality changes, and reduced alertness. I actually read a whole article that an unhealthy liver can cause personality changes in your brain. Fatigue and poor quality of life. Persistent exhaustion from liver disease can lead to feelings of helplessness and social isolation, and you'll have sleep disturbances. Insomnia or reverse sleep cycles are common, which further exacerbates your emotional instability. This is a even fattier liver. See, it's getting uglier as we go. The fatty liver. 100 million Americans have a fatty liver, and children's rates have doubled in 20 years. Not good. Why future-proof your liver? Because the liver impacts, as we discussed in the last class, your heart, your lungs, your kidney, your brain. Every organ in your body is impacted by an unhealthy liver. And if your liver fails, your body fails. The number one cause of heart disease, remember, is liver disease. So what is a fatty liver? A fatty liver is a liver condition that's most commonly found in people around the age of 40 to 60 years old. I was 63 when I discovered I had a fatty liver, and it was quite by accident. So you may have one and not know it. And if you're eating a lot of ultra-processed food and you're eating a lot of sugar, you've probably got a fatty liver. Fatty liver happens when fat makes up to 5 to 10% of your liver's weight. This makes it harder for the liver to filter your blood and to remove toxins or poisons. The most common cause of fatty liver is alcoholism and heavy drinking, but even if you don't consume alcohol, fatty liver is often caused by obesity or diabetes. This is me feeling sick and sluggish. in bed with my fatty liver. It's the silent disease that affects many people. Here we go again. Here's your healthy liver. Here's your fatty liver. They're like night and day. Warning signs that you might be ignoring: constant fatigue, unexplained weight gain, pain or discomfort in the upper right abdomen, brain fog due to poor concentration, and dark patches around your neck or your armpits. It's dangerous because you will go from liver inflammation through the different cycles of liver disease all the way to liver failure. However, the good news is it's very forgiving and it will reverse its disease if it's caught early. Liver damage leads to liver disease symptoms, which is feeling tired, weight loss, weakness, confusion, pain in the right or center upper part of your belly, bloating and gas, bruising easily, and constipation. And we'll talk about why constipation exasperates your fatty liver. Fatigue, loss of appetite, nausea, trouble concentrating, and enlarged liver, dark urine, excessive sweat, and dry and dark patches on the neck and upper arms. Why do we need liver protection? Because poor nutrition, poor eating habits cause liver disease. Too much coffee and energy drinks exacerbate the problem. Soils are deficient in key detox minerals, so that exacerbates liver disease. Allergies and food intolerances. I had 19 food sensitivities when I got sick. So it's taken me a long time. An intolerance can be reversed, an allergy cannot. So if you have a lot of food sensitivities, it may be a sign that your liver's not happy. Prescription and over-the-counter medicines can cause liver disease, and your liver is responsible for sorting through the prescriptions that you take and deciding what should stay and what should leave your body. And it does a really good job until it can't. Alcohol intake, processed foods, especially sugar and white flour products. Anything white, stop eating it. Whether it's sugar or rice or flour, it's not good for you, and it's overprocessed and it has no fiber, all of which exacerbates liver disease. Environmental toxins, heavy toxic metals, and heavy metal pesticides. Smoking. I was a smoker. I never smoked much more than half a pack a day, but I had a ton of cadmium in my body, which is a heavy toxic metal. Stress impacts every organ in your body. So don't think, it's just stress. It's the chronic stress that makes you diseased. We all have a certain amount of stress, but you don't want it to topple over the top and go into toxic stress. An excessive workload. I was quite the workaholic, so it's not a surprise that I got a fatty liver and that I didn't take care of myself enough to not get sick. I have a whole book called Radical Self-Care. So take a look at that. That's also on my issues site as a flip book. And then finally, getting infection or illness, either acute or chronic, is all connected to a healthy or unhealthy liver. Signs of a fatty liver: fatigue, weakness, loss of appetite, nausea, abdominal pain in the upper right abdomen, swelling in the upper abdomen, spider-like blood vessels, itching, jaundice, which is yellowing of the skin or eyes, a buildup of fluid and swelling of the legs, which is edema, and your abdomen, and mental confusion. I'm still struggling with the buildup of fluid in my legs, the edema. This is the same ones that I just read. That's where your liver is, so that's where you're going to hurt. Stages of liver disease we went through, from healthy liver to fatty liver to liver fibrosis, which is when the scarring, see the scarring is starting on this picture, to cirrhosis, which is when the scar tissue makes the liver hard and unable to work properly. Your liver can be damaged in a variety of ways. Cells can become inflamed, like hepatitis. Cholesterol or triglycerides can accumulate. Liver tissue can be damaged by chemicals and minerals or infiltrated by abnormal cells, even cancer cells. Blood flow to the liver might be compromised, and they all continue the stages of liver disease. How do you know if you have a fatty liver? Okay, there are blood tests available that can detect a fatty liver. Routine tests such as comprehensive metabolic panels can show elevated ALT and AST, which are indicators of liver damage. I had elevated levels. No doctor ever responded to that. So you have to own your own health and you have to question your test results. Other tests include lipid panels and your A1C test, which is how you know how much sugar you have in your body and whether or not you've got type 2 diabetes. And then you can assess the risk factors like high cholesterol and diabetes from those tests. Blood tests and an ultrasound, which is how I discovered mine, both can detect a fatty liver. Blood test comes back abnormal, take it seriously. Even if your test comes back normal, don't think you're off the hook. Liver function test doesn't always detect a fatty liver. An ultrasound is way more sensitive and will pick it up more easily. So if you're showing irregular test results, ask for an ultrasound. You can see it on an ultrasound, and if your test comes back abnormal, now you're in trouble. But even if your liver test comes back normal, you might not be out of the woods. It's important to know that a liver function test does not always detect a fatty liver. An ultrasound can be more sensitive. I'm still in bed, struggling with my little liver here on the slide. Okay, how do you know you have a fatty liver? Continued. So how do you know that you have a fatty liver? If you're eating lots of sugar and flour, have a little bit of belly fat, or you crave carbs all the time, you probably have got a fatty liver. So start to question and ask for tests. To heal that fatty liver and avoid its vast detrimental repercussions, you want to get to the root of these problems right away. And you need to have your doctor be your partner, but you need to own your body. He doesn't live in your body. He doesn't know how you feel. So he may or may not react to things that you need to be reacting to. So you tell him that you're responsible for your health. And when you ask for a test, you want to get it. Because fatty liver is often asymptomatic. It frequently is discovered during medical investigations for other conditions. That would be me. Other methods to check for fatty liver. You can get a liver biopsy, which is when they take a tissue sample via a needle to check for fat, inflammation, and cellular damage, which is necessary to distinguish simple fatty liver from severe inflammation, which is called MASH or NASH. They've recently changed it from NASH to MASH. I don't know what the two terms mean, but if you see either of those terms, that means you got a problem. Non-invasive fibrosis scores. Doctors may use algorithms based on blood tests, such as the FIB4 score, which is a platelet count, or your ALT or your AST, or the NAFLD fibrosis score to check for advanced liver scarring. And just like they've changed NAFLD to MASLD, all of that means you got trouble in your liver. So start questioning and pushing your doctor to explore it further. Many who have fatty liver disease are not given any instructions as how to treat it. So aren't you glad you're taking my class? Many are told that there are no treatments. Actually, I was told there was no treatment for autoimmune disease and that I wasn't really sick. I was told that there was no treatment for type 2 diabetes and that once you're diabetic, you never reverse it. And none of that is true. I have reversed it all because I was diligent, I did my research, and I changed all my lifestyle habits, starting with eating an organic diet of all the colors of the rainbow. And then you're left on your own to figure out what to do. There are a few reasons for this. The doctor is in the dark because he doesn't learn about any of this in medical school and he has no idea, or he sees so many with these conditions, he looks at it as no big deal. You don't have to be in the dark, and since you're responsible for your health, you can push him to get the rest of the testing that you need to find out how sad is your liver. Now, this is a really sad liver because of the toxic chemicals and the alcohol and the sugar and the ultra-processed food and the poison and the pesticide. You don't want this liver. So pay attention to what I'm teaching you here today. So there's some really simple things you can do with your diet, with exercise, and with supplements to help heal your fatty liver. First, cut out all high fructose corn syrup from your diet, period. 100% cold turkey. And that includes white sugar that is either cane sugar or beet sugar. You don't need any of it. It all will exasperate your liver. Reduce or eliminate starchy foods. That's your white rice and your white flours, as well as some starchy vegetables. And in the beginning, don't eat the starchy vegetables. Eat the greens and the other bright colored vegetables and fruits. Um, Fruits, actually, some people are going to tell you that the sugar in fruits is not good for your liver. I wouldn't eat a whole bag of plums or peaches or one of the few, but to have one, the fiber will counteract the sugar that's in it, and it's natural sugar. So it doesn't impact you the same way as the refined sugars do that are in ultra processed food. Next, add some good things to your diet to help heal your fatty liver. Good quality vegetables, organic, because you don't need more poison in your body because your liver already is not functioning properly. So you don't want all of those nasty chemicals going into your liver. Non-starchy vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, some good quality animal protein like fish and chicken, fish, grass-fed meats. And let me tell you how I identify good quality animal protein. They are animals that get to eat what they were put on this planet to eat. Cows have two stomachs. They want to eat grass. They don't want to eat grass with glyphosate on it. They don't want to eat grass with other chemicals on it. But they also don't want to be eating corn, which has Bt toxin in it. So you want grass-fed, grass-finished beef. You want chicken that is pastured, where he gets to eat bugs and berries and twigs and things, which will make him a healthy little chicken, not chickens that are squished together and cage free. Cage free is a deceptive term. And this includes your chicken eggs need to be from pastured eggs. Fish needs to be wild caught. If they are farmed, then they're getting all kinds of poisons put in their water while they're being farmed so that they can stay well, even though they're so close together in the pond. So fish needs to be wild caught fish, grass-fed, grass-finished meat, all meat, all beef is grass-fed. So the important part is the grass-finished part when you're at the grocer. And good oils like olive oil, macadamia nut oil, avocado oil, and then nuts and seeds. Flax seeds are super good for your liver. Coconut butter and fish oil, because in fact, MCT oil, which is in coconut oil, has been shown to be able to start the reversal fatty liver process in animal studies, which is impressive. So again, here's your normal liver, here's your NAFL liver, here's your NASH liver, and here's your cirrhosis liver. Obesity comes with the normal liver sometimes, and metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes. But if you go here, then you're into actual oxidative stress and apoptosis and pro-inflammatory ketone activation. And if you're over here, you've got advanced cell damage and scarring. And you'll see here, reversible, and by the time you're super diseased, it's irreversible. So that's when you're going to need to get a liver transplant. Okay. Health-friendly tips. A severe fatty liver. What happens inside your body? When you have a fatty liver becoming severe, it's no longer just fat in the liver. It becomes a serious medical condition. Inflammation actually damages your liver cells. So then fibrosis develops where scar tissue starts replacing healthy tissue. If untreated, this leads to cirrhosis and permanent liver damage. So your liver is really forgiving up until here, and then it becomes irreversible. At this stage, your body begins to show warning signs, which is your yellow skin or eyes, swelling in the abdomen or legs, easy bruising, mental confusion. Severe fatty liver doesn't just affect the liver, it impacts your kidneys, which are your other detox organ, your brain, and your heart. Ignoring these signs can lead to liver failure, which then requires a transplant. The earlier you act, the better your chances of reversing the damage. And if you need a transplant, you got to wait for one. You got to wait for somebody to die that has a healthy liver that you can get. So you don't want to go there. You want to make sure that you are adopting all the healthy habits you can adopt now so that you don't go there. Here are the different colors of urine. 1 means that you got a pretty healthy, normal liver. 7 means you got cirrhosis and it is really diseased. So pay attention to how yellow your urine is. Here are 9 surprising warning signs that your liver is struggling. You are feeling heavy or nauseous. Your liver may not be producing enough bile to digest the fats properly. Healthy fats are starting to upset your stomach. If foods like avocado leave you feeling worse, it may mean toxins are being released faster than your liver can clear them. Number 3, you are sensitive to smells or chemicals. Perfumes, cleaners, supplements leave you feeling overwhelmed, and your liver may be struggling to process toxins efficiently. 4, you bruise easily. Your liver helps you to produce clotting factors, so when it's under stress, even minor bumps can leave marks. 5, you have dark circles under your eyes. This can be an early sign that toxins are not being cleared efficiently and are showing up in your skin. 6, your skin feels super itchy for no reason. Poor bile flow can allow certain compounds to build up, triggering unexplained itching. Your liver continued. You feel subtle pain or heaviness under your right ribs. This is a sign of liver congestion or inflammation, especially after eating. 8, you feel worse when you try to detox. If supplements make you feel awake between 2 to 3 in the morning, your liver is helping regulate your blood sugar overnight. So when it's stressed, it triggers a cortisol spike that wakes you up. You crave sugar late at night. Your liver helps to stabilize blood sugar, so if it's struggling, it may push towards a quick energy fix. Nearly 1 in 3 people today have sick, overworked livers. So if you recognize any of the symptoms on the list, please do not ignore what your liver is saying to you. Remember, your body is very smart, so hear it, listen to it, go into your gut and listen to what it's saying. When your liver gets the support it needs, you don't just feel a little bit better, you start to feel like yourself again. More energy, clearer skin, better digestion, a body that finally feels like it's working like it should. Okay, here is a wounded liver. That's a liver with liver damage. As many as 80% of people who are overweight or obese also live with non-alcoholic fatty liver. I have lost 80 pounds without dieting since I changed my diet to eating the rainbow diet of organic foods. There is a strong correlation between fatty liver disease and being overweight or obese. What is liver failure? When your liver function slows down because large portions of your liver are so damaged and the body goes into crisis mode called liver failure, also known as hepatic failure. Liver failure can put your body at risk, but in some cases, the liver might recover still. Other cases may require a transplant if medical treatments don't work. Symptoms common to both chronic and acute liver failure include, here we go again, nausea, abdominal swelling, jaundice, and fatigue. Your liver loses function over months and years. Liver disease turns into liver failure over time, so pay attention. Causes of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease are There's a genetic risk, an insulin risk, poor diet, chronic infections and inflammation, chronic alcohol use, high environmental toxin exposure. I wrote a whole book on the toxins I found, which is available that you can buy on Amazon called It Feels Good to Feel Good, How to Reverse all that toxicity and return to living a good and healthy life. Sedentary lifestyle and use of certain medications. Tylenol, as you'll recall, is really hard on the liver. So pay attention to what the medications are. Look them all up, find out what they give it till they take it away if you're taking pharmaceuticals. So know what they're doing to your body. Why do we need liver protection? Because poor nutrition, allergies and food intolerances, bad soil, environmental toxins, processed food, ultra-processed food, stress, infection and illness, prescriptions and over-the-counter medicine can impact your liver, smoking can impact your liver, excessive workload can impact your liver, alcohol intake, and then some coffee and super energy forming energy drinks. What does it mean to detoxify? Everybody asks me, what can I do? It's February. Should I be doing a liver detoxification? Start with getting all of the toxins you can find out of your body. And you do that by researching every ingredient on every product that you're using. You have an air filter. That's a strong air filter in the rooms you spend the most time in, which for us are our living room and our bedroom. You drink clean water. Get a water report from your water department. We have arsenic in our water here. Isn't that Becky? So we have really high-end water filtration systems on our water here. I don't want it going through my skin, nor do I want it going through my mouth and into my body. There are lots of places where you can find toxins and become familiar with them all. Did you know I don't recommend a program until you eliminate every toxin you can find? And trust me on this, I discovered I was living in a toxic soup. And it wasn't just hard on me, it was hard on my kiddies. My kiddies always made it well into their 20s. Well, when I got sick, they were living in a toxic soup as well. And I lost them at age 16, 17, and 18. And I love my animals, so I was heartbroken that I didn't know that I should be cleaning up the toxins in their life as well. So even though the body is equipped to detoxify itself, following a nutritious organic diet and limiting exposure to toxic substances will support the organs and promote your health. Instead of starting with a harsh detox program, start by supporting your body's ability to detox by eating a balanced diet and eliminating every poison you can find in your life. I looked everything up on a site called EWG.org. They've been doing research into all these toxins for a long time, and they actually rate them so that you know just how bad they are. And then when I found a product that was super toxic, I found a lower toxin product to replace it with. Personal care products in particular. The cosmetic industry is responsible to monitor itself, so you can imagine what a good job it is not doing. And then there's all your cleaning substances and your perfumes and your fragrances. They are god awful for you. And then there's your pots and your pans and your utensils and things like aluminum foil and plastic baggies and your water, things in your kitchen. All of that stuff is toxic. So eliminate everything you can find. And there's a website I want to recommend that you follow called Mamavation. Mamavation. She actually sends things out to a lab to find out bad, better, best for each category so that you can make good choices when you're looking for replacement items. We are constantly bombarded and consistently surrounded with chemicals in our environment. Some of these chemicals are natural. I mean, you can walk through a pine forest and be breathing carcinogens that are natural, but the liver's job is to help take what the body is struggling with and convert it into a water-soluble element so that the kidneys can excrete it. So we want a functioning, healthy liver. And the only way that's going to happen is if you get rid of every poison that you can in your life. I got really angry. Why was my government allowing me to be poisoned when I first started studying this? And then it occurred to me, I'm responsible for what goes in my body, for what's in my environment. And so if I cleaned it up, didn't matter what my government was doing to me because I wasn't going to let that anywhere near my body. So there are a lot of things in our diet in today's day and age. Food is just really what I call Franken food is not really food. When you read a label, if there is a word on that label that you don't know what it is or you can't pronounce it, you do not buy it. You put it back on the shelf. Our social paradigm around food has all gotten upside down. Before you detox, start cleaning up the toxins. They are in your food, your air, your medications, your personal care products, your cleaning products, your cookware, your plastics, your water. We eventually repainted our walls with a low toxin paint. We replaced our carpeting to a low toxin carpeting and replaced our flooring. Even the glue between the hinges or between the wood is toxic. I was into detox before it was cool. So I want you to become an army of one. I want you to search out and kill every poison that's in your life. The best and healthiest way to detox your liver is to purge all the toxins you can find in your food, your environment, and your over-the-counter medications. And just because it's over the counter doesn't mean it's good for you. And then do it systematically until every toxin you find has been eliminated and limited. You can buy my book on Amazon. And again, if you go to the first page of my website, you'll find the link to my author store on Amazon. I wrote two books. The first one was what I did step by step to start to get my health back and get rid of all the toxins in my life. And then the second book is my doctor asked me to write it. Okay. I live in a social group. And my friends weren't living the way that I was. They weren't eating the clean food I was living. They weren't eliminating all the toxins in their environment. So how do I live in community and still stay true to my new healthy ways? So my second book goes through all of that. It also goes how to create a healthy environment for your pets and how to create a healthy environment for your children, which became huge concerns for me, especially since my kitties got so sick and died. It's called the toxic bucket theory. Toxic load is your body can handle so many poisons for so long. The body is really resilient and it really tries to keep you well, but there's a point at which the bucket overflows, and that's called toxic load, and then it can't keep up with you anymore. So you have to make sure that you are eliminating toxins before they get into that bucket so that it doesn't overflow. Cholesterol can be elevated because of some of the environmental toxins that you're dealing with, like your laundry detergent and your fabric softeners. And dryer sheets are the most poisonous thing in your house. And perfumes, those things that you plug in that make your living room smell good, or that thing that you spray that takes the toxic smells out of the air, they're all toxic. So the outdoor and your indoor air have to be dealt with because they are so hard on your liver, which is your major producer of cholesterol. Pesticides and herbicides are being sprayed on your agriculture and your lawn care and your public spaces in your town and even on school lawns. So be aware of that. And be aware that your animals are walking on that grass and they're getting sick from walking on that grass. Your biological pollutants, bacteria, viruses, and parasites, radiation, medical procedures, radon and UV light, natural sources, plants, poison ivy, giant hagweed, stress, anxiety, relationships, lack of sleep, lifestyle habits. All of this builds up toxic load. So you'll find more information on what's in each category and what to do about it in my first book, It Feels Good to Feel Good, How to Eliminate Toxins, Reduce Inflammation, and Feel Great Again, which is available on Amazon. And so that you're aware, that book won 17 awards. I was the first person who put all of that into layman's terms and presented it step by step. So think of your body as a bucket Every time you breathe, every time you eat, every time you put something on your skin, you're putting things that drop into your toxic load bucket. Where does it all go? It goes to the workhorse of your body, which is your liver. And your liver scrutinizes every single thing that goes into your bloodstream. So when your liver gets overwhelmed by all these synthetic chemicals and it doesn't know what to do, is when you start getting liver disease. So to protect your vital organs, because as you remember, your liver interacts with all of them, you have to be careful what poisons are going into your body. And your liver wraps those toxins in fat. And if you have too many of them, it will start storing them in your bones, in your brain, and in your belly. When I detoxed heavy toxic metals, I did it over and over and over and over again. It took 5 detoxes to get them all to leave my body. But then we checked a year later and they'd been stored in my fat, so they started leaching out again. So I had to do 3 more detoxes to get the heavy toxic metals out of my body. Your body really wants to heal until it simply can't, and that's toxic load. Symptoms include brain fog, chronic fatigue, stubborn weight gain, and body odor. I no longer have body odor unless my body's got some inflammation. So when I go in the shower and I smell a little bit of body odor on me, I know I'm like through my head. What did I do that has caused inflammation? So how do we fix this? Well, we have to turn off the faucet before we can bail out the bucket. Exposure to toxins and toxic metals can harm the liver, increasing the risk of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Okay, see, he's unhappy. He hurts. Not good. Harmful oils for the liver. Okay, soybean oil, canola oil, corn oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, peanut oil, vegetable oil, grapeseed oil, vegetable shortening, margarine and butter substitutes, anything that says hydrogenated. Those are bad. Limit them because they're not good in your body. And be careful when you go out to restaurants because when you ask for olive oil, they'll tell you it's olive oil. But 9 times out of 10, it is mostly canola oil and just a little bit of olive oil. So make them bring you the bottle before you eat that on your salad and look at what the label on that bottle says. I will tell you, waiters across this country have been shocked that I have forced them to bring me their olive oil, which has really been mostly omega-6 oils. And this is important to know. Vegetable oils are not extracted by natural means, but are actually obtained with the help of chemicals. So not only is the oil itself not good for you, but they're using chemicals that are not good for you to get them out of the plant. When the oil is deodorized and modified before it makes it to the shelf of your grocery store or supermarket, and then the grains used are combined with a chemical called hexane to pull out the maximum amount of oil. It's then boiled to remove the solid wax, which results in the oil getting oxidated. The oil is then cooled, bleached, and degummed with more chemicals, which remove the impurities further, and then it's chemically deodorized. Now, how many chemicals does that just went into that oil? You are indirectly consuming these many chemicals when you decide to make your food in a vegetable oil or eat a salad with vegetable oil. Oxidized oils are known to cause inflammation, and even after the oil looks and smells fine, it's an issue. So nearly all of the ultra-processed foods on the supermarket shelves use these oils. Why? Because they're cheap. Now, olive oil, if it was just pure olive oil, it's great for you. But the mafia got involved with it. So they're cutting it with the vegetable oils. So you either want an olive oil from Europe that has been certified that it's really olive oil because they cheat. And your really cheap olive oils in the grocery store have vegetable oils in them with all these chemicals. So you either want that or you want a California olive oil because they regulate that it's really olive oil. Um, or you want a high quality olive oil from France or Italy who have more laws about the toxins allowed in their food. Home toxins to research to lower your toxic load. Toxins in and on your food, only eat organic. Now, I don't care if it's certified organic, which is a very expensive process, but I do like to go to farmers markets and talk to the farmers about what are they doing to keep the plants bug free. Because if it's an ingredient that's something you don't know what it is or can't pronounce it, then you're not going to want to eat it. Eliminate sugar and artificial sweeteners, eliminate natural flavors. I don't know what natural flavors are to you. Usually it's MSG, which is a neurotoxin. Eliminate any genetically modified food, which means it has Bt toxin that went right up the stem of that plant and into the food that goes into your belly. And then that's causing allergies. Ever notice how many kids have allergies these days? And that is what's cleating all your minerals and your vitamins back out of your body. Opt for omega-3 fats in your diet. Pesticides and herbicides are being sprayed on your crops and food, which is why you want to talk to your farmer, because pesticides and herbicides are both poison. Pesticides and herbicides sprayed on your yard and in public places. If it's being sprayed in your schoolyards and you got small children going there, bring it up at the PTA meeting and fight for clean yards. And remember, we're spraying our yards because of weeds. I'd rather have the weeds than the poison. Thank you very much. Put a water fit a wall put a water filter system on your home. You can get a water report from your water company. And if you do decide you want to start filtering your water, which I strongly recommend you do because there's a lot of crap in your water, you can start with a Brita and filter it right on your kitchen counter. I started filtering my water that I cooked with and drank, and I put the water that I was drinking into stainless steel bottles. Then I went to an under-the-counter system in my kitchen so that the water in my kitchen I could use to cook or to drink. And I used a company called Aquasana, who will actually take your zip code and tell you what icky things are in your water. Never drink from plastic bottles. Eliminate as much plastic as possible from your kitchen. Cook from stainless or a toxin-free pan. Never aluminum. Aluminum causes dementia. Never Teflon. Wow, I did not want to give up my Teflon pan for life or money because I didn't like things sticking on my pan. And then I read that the DuPont factory had no birds over the factory because they were all dead. And then the whole community started getting cancer. There's a movie called Dark Water that if you don't want to give up your Teflon, you really ought to watch the movie. It's a great movie, by the way. And you want to bake in glass or stainless. Research all your personal care products and choose lower toxin items. No air fresheners, no perfumes. There's one perfume that you can break that rule with. Michelle Pfeiffer has made a perfume called Henry Rose, and it's a 0 on the EWG chart. And it's really lovely. It's nice to be able to have something to wear again. Research all your cleaning supplies, including detergents and softeners and all your soaps, all your cleaning stuff. And once you find the lower toxic cleaning supply, get the old one out of your house. They continue to off gas and then start putting poison into your air. I found a product that are plant enzymes that clean like a charm, and it's called Branch Basics. She wrote 2 articles in my magazine that's on issue. So again, go to the first page of my website, and that will lead you to all my books and magazines on issue. Follow my guide for bug control from the orange book that I have on Amazon, which is called Feeling Good, Living Low Toxin. Throw anything toxic discovered away or get it out of your house so it doesn't off gas in your home. Buy air filter systems for all the rooms you live in, your living room, your family room, your bedrooms. Air in the house is significantly more toxic than your outside air. Since I lived in LA, I found that to be astonishing. No aluminum foil, no aluminum pans, and I still to this day use unbleached parchment paper because the white parchment paper has been bleached, and that's a poison. And then eliminate your toxic stress. I used up all my cortisol by being chased by a tiger 24/7 so that I was on the border of Addison's disease. So my cortisol went way high, and then I burned it all up till I had none left in my body. So learn to breathe, Learn to find ways to lower your toxic stress. I use something called a belly button wand, and that's discussed in my Radical Self-Care book that's on issue. Toxic relationships do a lot of damage. I was in a toxic relationship and he refused to change when I got sick. So we broke up, which was even more stress. Toxic anxiety impacts your body. Toxic lack of sleep impacts your body. You need 7 quality hours of sleep. And if you think when you're sleeping, your body is sleeping, you are incorrect. While you're sleeping, your whole body is doing a tune-up, and so you really need good, sound, solid sleep. And that last hour till 6 to 7 is when the plaque gets brushed out, swept out of your brain so that you don't get any kind of dementia. Toxic lack of movement is one of the bad toxins. You need to move your body to stay flexible and to move your lymph system, and it's part of your whole detox system. So this list is just a beginning, but eventually we use non-toxic paint, we use non-toxic floor covering, non-toxic fabric breaks, non-toxic glues, etc. And I did most of my research on ewg.org, but since I did all of that, there are some apps. One is Think Dirty. One is Yucca. It's not Y-I-K-A, it's Y-U-K-A, the Yucca app. Memivation, she's the one who sends everything out for testing. Healthy Living is EWG's app. They're all great because they'll tell you how many toxins are in that item and whether you should buy it or not. And then finally, there is a brand new app out for your supplements called Supco, S-U-P-P-C-O, which you can put your supplements in and it will tell you if they have toxic ingredients or if they're clean enough that you can take them and get the benefit from them. It was a group of functional doctors who were sick of their patients getting poisoned from their supplements because they weren't buying high quality supplements. But even some of the high quality supplements have icky ingredients in them. So put all your supplements into Supco, which is a free app, and it will tell you if you should be taking that or not. Environmental toxins can damage your liver through oxidative stress, inflammation, and direct cellular injury. Industrial chemicals like forever chemicals, which are plastics or nonstick cookware or fast food packaging or firefighting foam, or even the coating on your receipt at the grocery store, those are all forever chemicals. Tetrachloroethene, used in dry cleaning and some household spot cleaners. Vinyl chloride, which is a chemical used to produce plastic. Polychlorinated biphenyls, persistent industrial pollutants formerly used in electrical equipment. Heavy metals, high level exposure to arsenic, which is in my water here, often in contaminated water, and then mercury and lead and cadmium, which is what I got from smoking, can accumulate and produce liver damage. Pesticides and herbicides have all kinds of icky stuff on them, and things like paraquat are just awful for your children, and certain fungicides are linked to liver inflammation and cancer risk. Natural toxins like aflatoxins produced mold in crops like corn and peanuts are potent liver carcinogens. Air, your pollutants, your long-term exposure to fine particulate matter, and violet organic compounds, which are VOCs, can trigger liver disease progression. So be aware, look things up, own your own body, become knowledgeable. A wider list of toxins that can hurt your liver includes substances and chemicals like alcohol, industrial chemicals, heavy metals, medications and supplements. We talked about acetaminophen, which is Tylenol, NSAIDs, which is Aleve and Motrin, certain antibiotics, drugs like amoxicillin, frequently are linked to liver injury. Herbal supplements, despite being natural, supplements containing kava, comfrey, and aloe vera, and concentrated green tea extract can become hepatotoxic. Dietary factors, refined sugars, high intake of fructose, often from high fructose corn syrup, or even cane sugar and beet sugar can lead to fatty liver disease. Trans and saturated fats found in fried foods, processed meats, and margarine can overwhelm the liver and cause inflammation. And don't think that because you're using a sugar-free sweetener that you're in the clear, because the pink packet, the yellow packet, and the blue packet all impact some part of your body with poisons. The yellow pack kills all your good gut bacteria, and we need those because the gut is where disease begins. The blue packet is a neurotoxin, so you sure as hell don't want that in your body. And the pink is also poison, so you don't want to use any of those. What do I use for sweetener? I carry a little bottle of concentrated monk fruit, but make sure if you're going to use monk fruit, that's all it is. It is only monk fruit because they love to mix it with dextrose, which is sugar. Stress silently damages your liver. Your liver goes into overdrive. Fat floods the liver. Insulin resistance sets in. You crave all the wrong things. Your gut suffers too. Inflammation takes over. And then your emotional health and your liver health are not separate conversations. So the good news is stress management, mindfulness, behavioral therapy, liver and gut health can all interrupt this cycle. Now, did you know stress is one of the causes of leaky gut, and leaky gut is the cause of inflammation and chronic illness. Your gut is very vulnerable to the presence of chronic and acute stress. Stress can actually cause your sugar levels to rise. And if you catch a cold or the flu or something, that all causes your sugar levels in your blood to rise as well. When you're in a state of stress, the body does not detoxify very well. So the longer you're stuck in the state of stress, the more toxins you accumulate that your liver has to deal with. And studies have shown the stress stops your gallbladder from emptying, leading to a compromised digestion as well as cholesterol gallstone formation. And remember, you need your gallstones and your gallbladder, not your gallstones, your gallbladder, because it takes care of your fats. It emulsifies them so that your body can use them. So there are no throwaway parts in your body. Stress in the liver. Stress leads to chronic viral hepatitis. Stress leads to NAFLD. Stress leads to liver cirrhosis. Stress leads to liver cancer. And protecting your liver, be active, eat right, laugh a lot. That is so good for your liver. Breathe deeply. I do the Dr. Andrew Weil 478 breathing exercise. Write that down. You can actually find him doing it on YouTube and do it with him. And he was the man who started integrative medicine across the country. Get social offline, take up yoga or meditation, cut the caffeine, and release your feelings. I have 1 cup of coffee a day. It is organic coffee because coffee is a very dirty crop. And if I'm tired, I do not drink coffee because it will overtax my adrenals. I only drink coffee when I wake up bright and cheerful and happy. And then release your feelings because being angry only hurts your liver more. Toxic people never seem to think that they are the ones who are causing the trouble. Toxic people will not be changed by the alchemy of your kindness. So yes, be kind, but move on swiftly and let life be their educators. You don't have to fix them. When someone who is toxic says they're never going to speak to you again, say, oh my God, thank you, because they're doing you a favor. That was my joke. Kicking the sugar helps reduce fatty liver and heart disease. Avoid sugar in the form of corn and starch in the body. This sugar turns to a fat production factory in the liver, and that causes fatty liver, so you don't want that. You need to get to the root of the problem. A fatty liver is a dangerous disease and it is highly misunderstood. So research shows that it's the carbs, not the fat, that causes more fat in your body and in your belly and in your liver and bad cholesterol. So it's the carbs that trigger inflammation. Now, back in the 90s, the sugar industry didn't like it that they were looking like the bad guy. So they hired Stanford and Harvard to run tests on sugar and to come up with, they told them up front, they wanted the conclusion to be that fat was bad for us, not sugar. Well, it ends up they got it all wrong. It was the sugar causing disease and not the better fats, which every organ, every cell in our body needs fat. So we got so concentrated that the bad guy was was fat. We missed that the bad guys were sugar and fructose. So the bottom line is if you eat a lot of sugar and flour and you have a little bit of belly fat, and if you're craving sugar and carbs and starch, because sugar is super addictive, you probably have some degree of a fatty liver. And think diet soda is harmless. Think again, despite its 0-calorie label, diet soda has hidden costs for your liver health. So only drink one of the new sodas that has probiotics in it, which are good for your thing, and it's using sparkling water and flavoring, so they're not bad for you. But all the Diet Cokes with the aspartame or the Equal or the yellow packet, they're awful for you, and they literally would take the chrome off your bumper of your car to eliminate them, and they're addictive, so they're not hard to get rid of. How the liver handles toxins, it is your detox factory. So you have accretion pathways, and when the detox fails, then you have drug overdose and liver disease. So you want to be aware of just how important your liver is at getting all of those poisons out of your body. So that's the end of this class. Next class is all about things that harm the liver and things that heal the liver. So I hope you will come back for class 4. And thank you so much for joining me for class 3. I hope you have a much better understanding of how your liver gets so ill and how forgiving your liver is. So please do your research, own your health, and eliminate the things that are harming your liver so that you live long and thrive. And I'll see you for class 4. Thank you so much. I am Cheryl M. Health Muse. You can see it up there in the top. Here, let me get rid of this so you can read it more easily. I'll stop sharing. I am, see right here, CherylMHealthMuse.com is my website. At gmail.com is my email. And if you have a question and you write to me, I will answer you because I am very passionate that everybody knows what I know now about health. So thank you. I will see you soon.